So seeing that the updated demo has been released and the movement system is in a far more mature state, I figured it'd be a good time to actually go over the movement system in detail and hopefully address any questions anybody might like have in the back of their head, like, does this work this way? How does this work? Or whatever. Or maybe some people, this video will actually show them some things they didn't know about the movement system. And hopefully it'll just promote some thought into, well, if this is like this, maybe I can do that, and stuff like that, just experimentation. So the initial part of the video would just be going over the movement, and then at the end I want to go over what to expect, additions to the movement system, and what to expect in the future, along with like what's the fundamental driving force for how the movement system was designed. But to kick things off, we'll start off with how the movement system works, and I'll just start from the ground up because this will be something of a tutorial video for anybody new if they want to watch it. So, like with any Z-axis shooter that has a jetpack, you've got the standard when you're upjetting, like I'm doing right now, you can use your directional keys to kind of guide your movement. Now, the major addition, however, is when you're skiing like I am now, you can see in the upper right, I can also do lateral jetting without upjetting, and this is just, it's a pure conversion of energy into lateral movement like what I'm doing right now. I'm not really using the upjet at all. So you can do all three of these directions, and that's what separates things quite a bit. Now, the initial reaction everybody's had when they play this is, oh crap, I'm out of energy, and it's because it's kind of twofold going on here. The main reason everybody's out of energy is because a lot of the time when people come in, they have the habit of holding down the directional keys, even if it'll do nothing in the game that they're playing. It's just a habit. And so when you hold down the directional keys while skiing, of course, you're burning energy. Now, the other thing is, being out of energy in Project Freefall is not a bad thing. It means that you're efficiently using energy. You actually, when you're out of energy, you get a small bonus to regeneration rate. And like right now I'm getting, I think it's a 15% bonus to my regen rate, as opposed to when I'm completely full on energy, there's no bonus. So, and the other thing you're noticing here is that I'm skiing kind of badly and I'm taking a bunch of fall damage just from various falls I'm taking. Fall damage with everybody who's noticing it. A lot of the time it might be a bit high right now, so I may reduce it a little bit, but at the same time, there's an issue of, on this map in particular, there's an issue of scaling. It's kind of hard to gauge how big everything is. But to move on more advanced parts of the movement, when you're skiing, there is a small amount of friction being applied. And one thing you'll notice is when you stop skiing, of course, you do not stop immediately, you skid to a stop. And that skid value, although it's useful just for straight out stopping, it's very useful in dueling. Let's say you're out of energy like I am right now, and I know my opponent has a really well lined up shot. So if I don't have enough energy to move out of the way, there's no reason I can't just convert some of that velocity into change in direction, like what I did right here. And that's, any change in direction is a good change, or any change in movement, I should say, velocity, because really friction only affects your speed, not your direction. But, point across. Now, the other thing to note, as I said, you get a bonus when you're out of energy. You also get a bonus for up and lateral jetting. It's another small bonus. At the moment, it is 20%. It's worth noting that although you get a bonus to up and lateral jetting, if you want to get the most height, up jetting is still the best option. And if you want to get the most lateral speed, lateral jetting is still the best option. But it's just something to keep in mind that if, for instance, if you're climbing a slope, likely you want to be up and lateral jetting into it, like what I'm doing right here. Same goes for if you're coming in for a landing and you have some forward speed, then you want to back jet, like what I'll do right here. So I'm back jetting and I'm up jetting, and that'll slow me down faster than just doing up jetting or just doing back jetting. But it's just one of those things to keep in mind. And that covers pretty much the entirety of the movement system. I should cover, there is splash jumping, of course, like from really any game. So that's something you can always use, and there are health vials and such across the map, along with some health packs. And eventually there actually will be a system wherein players can carry like a one charge health item or something, wherein they can do a few splash jumps and then regen some health if they want. But I mean, that's kind of down the road. Now, as far as additions to the movement system, it's in a pretty as mature state is the best word for it, really. It's not final state because there'd be a lot of tweaking involved. But the only two systems that I'm planning to add are air control and carving. And it's worth noting that for both systems, they will operate differently than previous systems. Carving will actually be very much the same from previous games, but air control is going to be very different, at least fundamentally in how it operates. And this is because air control in previous games uses vector rotation, which fundamentally is too much control. Even if you tweak the control down to where it's just nothing, it's too much control. So it'll be based off of vector addition, along with carving will be, as I said, very much the same. The difference is that for both carving and air control, there are going to be inefficient ways to change your direction. And what I mean is that for every change in velocity that you do with these systems, they will eat velocity. It'll just be gone. They're not perfect. They don't perfectly change your direction. And the reason for this is to promote players that can actually, they do it right the first time. They don't need adjustments. They're amazing when it comes to movement. And it's kind of important because free air control or free ground control as well, it marginalizes good players. Just because it means that players that don't play as well, they can make these free controls, like just adjustments to their flight or their trajectory on the ground that they normally, if they couldn't do for free, then the person that does it right the first time would have a huge advantage. So that'll be kind of the fundamental behind both air control and carving, is that they will be inefficient. I mean, I don't plan on it being wildly inefficient, but it will be noticeable. And at this point, we just kind of wrap up the video and cover what the driving force for the entire movement system. It's very much so. I made the analogy before that this is the Formula One of games with regards to movement, like FPS games that love movement. And the reason for that is a lot of games, there's a huge amount of focus on getting up to speed. It's very difficult to do so. It's not the case in Project Freefall. It's more, the issue arises, it's how do I maintain speed? Because you get to a point where you either have to execute things absolutely perfectly, or you just start taking tons and tons of impact damage. And so the fundamental question changes from how fast can I go to how fast should I go? And although they are similar, they're just fundamentally different, because one of them is actually, it's not reckless. How fast should I go it's a question that it promotes conservative play, in that, well, I could go this fast, but maybe I'll be out of health by the time I get to the flag stand. And I mean, you get a lot of questions that arise from the how much should I do based questions, not how much can I do. More depth to the question, I should say, fundamentally. But anyhow, and that's what a lot of the movement system is being based off of. It's the struggle to maintain speed, and then just that constant nagging question is like, well, I could go faster. I can go faster, but should I go faster? So hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and hopefully once the arcade CTF gets released, along with some more weapons and a different map, hopefully we'll get maybe a regular player base that'll get together, I don't know, like once a week or something like that, just for a couple of fun games. But until then, as always, thanks for showing interest. And if you have any questions, of course, you can post them in the comments or on the forum, which is a great place because you have other players that are interested in the same game. So, thanks for watching.